They thought the training field was a cage. They moved the targets. They moved the rules. They tried to move her mind, but Ava counted every breath, every echo, every pair of eyes. When they tried to trap her, she didn't fight the gate, she rewired the whole fence. Stay with me, because in the next 10 minutes you'll watch a quiet recruit turn a rigged program inside out, using complete Navy SEAL tactics no one saw coming. The road was dry and mean. Dust rose and hung like old breath. Ava walked it anyway, boots, blisters, silence. Her watch was broken. The glass wore a white crack like a scar. It still ticked when pressed to her ear. That was enough. Time is a feeling, she told herself. You carry it. It doesn't carry you. The training compound crouched ahead, fences, floodlights, a windsock trying not to fall. Her wallet held one receipt and a library card. Light as a leaf. Empty makes you fast. Empty makes you honest. At the gate, a voice buzzed. Name, Ava. Click, metal slid. Cold air met hot skin. Recruits stood in rows. Shaved heads, tense jaws. An instructor with a pencil-thin scar read numbers. No speeches, no mercy. Assessment, he said. Pass or go home. They ran until colors went flat. They crawled under chain link and tasted iron. Ava took the wall slow, then faster. Ridge, tall and smug, smirked when she passed him. Enjoy day one, he whispered. On the board, her time sat in the middle. Safe, forgettable, perfect. She stretched near the motor pool. The sun burned a ring on her broken watch. Her uncle's voice lived in that ring. When the birds go quiet, trouble breathes, he'd said. The birds bickered loud. No ambush then, only tension. Night fell like a lid. Boot scrape. A folded map slid under her door. A river bend was wrong by 30 degrees. A trap that looked like help, she kept it. At 0300, the alarm smashed the dark. A hand knifed the door and pinned the map to the wood. The blade quivered, and from the hall came a whisper. Run. Outside, the grass shone wet under white light. Instructors lined them up. Phase 0, the scarred one said. Dead reckoning. No GPS, teams of 4. Ava drew Tino, Mara, Clark. Strangers, maps, compasses, a whistle on a thin cord. Tino jabbed the river bend. Shortcut, he said. Ava touched the torn map in her pocket. She tasted the lie like grit. No, she said. Mara narrowed her eyes. Why? Wind is south, rust is east, Ava said. They stared. She pointed at a pipeline. Rust faces the salt. So the line turns there, not where your bend claims. Clark huffed. Maps are official. So was the knife in my door, Ava said. They followed her anyway. They crossed a shallow draw, slid under a fence with a ripped seam, moved in cedar shade where the ground cooled like breath. Ava counted paces. Her broken watch kept rhythm when her heart stuttered. They reached a hidden checkpoint. A red tag flapped from a post like a tongue. Mara took it. Their compass needle steadied, then trembled. Metal nearby. Something big. A generator hum under dirt. Ava knelt. Soil tasted of oil. Careful, she said. Tino laughed. What, landmines? Not mines, Ava said. Microphones. Speakers cracked in the distance. Team 7 returned to base. Clark swallowed. That's us, they moved. But the return route was wrong. Markers changed color. The path turned them in loops. We're being herded, Ava said. Mara's jaw set. By who? Ava pointed at a lens buried in scrub, half hidden by grass. By people who think traps teach better than maps. Then she heard steps pacing the fence line. Ridge's laugh. He wasn't on their team. He wasn't supposed to be here. Yet he walked parallel, grinning, and held up a second map. The same wrong bend marked in red. Ava stopped. Let the others breathe. Let Ridge gloat at the fence. She watched the wind. She tasted metal again. Old habit, slow the world until patterns show. Switch carries, she said. Tino passed the compass. Mara took the map. Clark kept the tag. Ava knelt, tore the lace top from her boot. She tied the broken watch to a twig, balanced it on her palm. She turned until the sun glanced off the crack. A makeshift shadow board. A cheap way to hold north. You're wasting time, Ridge called. Ava smiled and said nothing. She planted the twig. She drew a line in dirt. She waited 1 minute. Drew again. The sun wrote her a compass. Dead reckoning works if nobody deadens the landmarks, she said softly. They moved off the painted trail, through weeds that whooshed like pages. Toward the sound of water Ava could not yet see. Mara whispered, Why the traps? To test trust, Ava said. To sell fear, they reached a ditch. Low water, green on the edges. Ava slid in, hands and knees, mud to her wrists. Stay below the fence sightline. They crawled until the ditch met a culvert. A dark pipe, cool and echoing. A tiny wind ran through like a mouse. Clark hesitated. I don't like tunnels. Neither do microphones, Ava said. Inside, the air tightened. Drips. The smell of old rain. Ava palmed the pipe's ribs. Counted. Listened for the faint thud of boots above. Ridge's steps vanished. The pipe opened into a thicket. They climbed out, breathing hard. Above, a drone's buzz wove in and out of clouds. Ava tossed a flat rock. It smacked a pond 50 yards off. The drone drifted toward the ripple. She moved the team the other way. They hit the final checkpoint, a green flag with mud fingerprints. Mara tied their red tag to it. Done. Back at base, Patterson was waiting. Unofficial course, he said. Unofficial results. But you made it. Ridge arrived late and angry. He threw down his map. Someone fed her intel, he said. Patterson ignored him. Looked at Ava. You sleep in the East Barracks tonight, he said. Why? Ava asked. Because the West Barracks has a leak, he said. And because someone keeps leaving knives indoors. Then the lights cut. Shouts went up. Something big rolled across the yard on hidden wheels. A timer beeped twice, then once more, faster. Backup lights bloomed and died. Darkness pressed like cloth. Ava breathed slow. Listen first. Act second. Exercise, someone yelled. But the voice bled wrong. Too cheerful. Too staged. Ava found the East Barracks by memory. Windows glowed faint blue. Someone had a screen on. The door was ajar. Inside, cots stood in neat files. On one pillow, her empty wallet. On top of it, the torn map. On top of that, a shiny serrated knife. A little shrine of threat. Mara slipped in behind her. Someone wants you rattled. I don't rattle, Ava said. She palmed the knife, felt its balance, hated its flash. Phase 1 starts now, a speaker barked. Silent movement. No lights, find the beacon. Bring it home. A siren chirped 3 times. Then the yard erupted with bodies hurrying dumb and loud. Perfect cover. Ava led her team along shadow lines, avoided the gravel that sang underfoot, counted breath. Watched the corners where instructors like to grow. They found the beacon tower near the motor pool. Orange lamp. Metal cage. A padlock as fat as a thumb. Ridge will bolt cut, Tino whispered. Let him, Ava said. She looked up. The cage sat on a hinge. The hinge sat on old screws. Old screws talk soft when you ask nicely. She slid the cheap knife under the hinge plate. Levered slow. Felt the screws give 1/4 turn, then another. Mara braced the plate. Clark stood watch. The plate lifted. The cage tipped. The lamp came free like a reluctant tooth. Move. They took the long way back, through rinsed moonlight, past a ditch that smelled like pennies. Halfway, footsteps hunted behind them. Ridge again. He loved the chase. He loved the audience he believed was watching. Ava stepped off the path and sank to a knee. She set the orange lamp on the ground. She placed the broken watch on top of it. The cracked glass caught moonlight like a tiny flare. Decoy, Mara said. Ridge crashed through brush and went straight for the glow. He grabbed the lamp, triumphant. Ava signaled. They peeled left, fast and low. They were 30 yards from the finish line when a flare blew open the sky. White daylight slammed the yard. Instructors stepped from the glare in a row, rifles pointed down. Freeze, Patterson said. His eyes didn't look angry. They looked curious. Recruit Noor, he said. Why were you never where the trap predicted you'd be? Ava opened her mouth and saw beyond Patterson a figure on the roof leveling a camera at her. Ridge was not smiling now. He was filming, and the lens was not Academy issue. Dawn found them at the pool. Black water, chlorine and echoes, cold exposure, an instructor said. Breath control, drown-proofing, then a surprise. The surprise was a weighted pack. 40 pounds. Ava took it without a word. Her shoulders shifted and made room. They jumped as one. The cold hit like a shout. Ava let it fold around her, counted the swing of the tether rope and thought of the dusty road. Heat then cold now. You carry both. She sank, touched the tile, pushed up. Breathed in a little, out a lot. Quiet lungs are brave lungs. Ridge swam a lane over. He wasn't looking at the instructor. He was looking at her. He mouthed something, one word. Quit. Ava closed her eyes to make the pool a tunnel. In the tunnel, trouble shrinks. In the tunnel, you meet yourself. She surfaced calm. counted, sank again. On the third cycle, a whistle cut. Hands and feet tied. You'll bob, float, and travel, the instructor said. Ava nodded. Rope bit her wrists. Not to bone. She rolled and let the water hold her. Bob. Exhale. Rise with what's left. Hope is a physical law, she told herself. Displace water. Displace fear. The pool lights dimmed. A metal door clanged. New footsteps echoed. Different rhythm. Civilians in boots. Mara hissed from the deck. We've got guests. Ava turned her face to breathe and saw them. 3 people in plain clothes, hard eyes, carrying clipboards too clean for this place. Ridge's cameraman stood behind them. Patterson watched the group without blinking. He didn't seem pleased. Recruit Noor, one of the visitors called. We have a program for you. Special track. Say yes now. Ava bobbed, water cupping her chin. Training isn't an auction, she said. They smiled like salesmen at a funeral. Say yes, the leader said, or we make the course say no. Ava let herself sink. Hit tile, pushed up slow. The broken watch left on the deck ticked in her head like a metronome for courage. She broke the surface and laughed once. Then you'll have to catch me breathing, she said. The leader nodded to the cameraman. The lens tilted. Ava saw the red light blink. Phase change, a speaker boomed. Underwater traverse. Retrieve the beacon from the deep-end drain. Ava filled her lungs and folded forward. Cold swallowed her like a door. She kicked, drove down, felt pressure bite her ears. The beacon glowed faint on the drain grate. Her fingers found the screws. Old, stubborn. She turned them with bare nails, nudged, coaxed, and felt a rumble through the pool wall. As if something larger had just woken up behind the concrete. The water trembled. Bubbles raced. A shadow slid across the deep end, too broad to be a swimmer. Ava looked up and saw the surface bow as if a giant hand pressed down from above. The water shook like it had a pulse. Ava's lungs pressed for release. She kept them steady. The beacon glowed faint. The grate trembled. She turned one screw. It snapped. Rust dust spiraled up like smoke. Above, shadows moved fast. Boots on tiles. Shouts blurred by water. Ridge's voice, sharp and urgent, pull her out. But Patterson didn't answer. He stood, arms folded, watching. Testing not the task. Testing the watchers. Ava hooked the beacon with her fingers. Twisted, dragged. It came free, sudden, heavy. She almost let go. Her lungs screamed now. She pushed up. Water broke over her head like glass. She gulped air raw. Held the beacon high. The clipboard men frowned. The camera blinked red. Unacceptable, one muttered. Resourceful, Patterson replied. They argued. Ava ignored them. She climbed out, dripping, toes gripping tile. The broken watch ticked on the deck. Her uncle's words echoed. Birds go quiet before people do. She looked toward the open door. The crows outside were silent. They marched them outside. Cold air slapped wet skin. Floodlights off, only moon, only shadow. Final selection, Patterson said. His voice calm. Too calm. Recruits lined the gravel. Mud-streaked faces. Eyes half hollow. Everyone waited for the trap that felt bigger than tests. The clipboard men whispered near Ridge. He smirked like he already wore a medal. The camera followed him. Ava tightened her fists. Water dripped from her sleeves, dotted the dust like dark stars. Her wallet still empty, but her pockets full of fragments now. Map scrap, cheap knife, torn lace. Proofs of the hidden war inside training. Tonight, Patterson said, you are not recruits. You are hunted. The siren wailed once. Run, they scattered. Gravel bit. Breath broke. Boots thundered like drums of panic. Ava slid off the main yard. She used the shadows between tanks. Listened for the birds. Still quiet. Too quiet. Mara joined her, face pale. They've sealed the gates, she whispered. Not escape, Ava said. Survival. A flash lit the yard. A flare arced and hissed. In its light, Ava saw Ridge standing on a platform, grinning. Not running, not hunted. Calling orders into a hidden mic. The hunt wasn't for him. It was for her. The flare died. Dark slammed back. Voices scattered in panic. Whistles shrieked from the perimeter. Ava pressed her broken watch to her ear. Tick, tick. Even in darkness, rhythm is map. She drew breath to match. She calmed. Mara shook her head. They'll pin us. They'll try, Ava said. Through the dark, Ridge's voice boomed. Find her, east side. Do not let her reach the tower. So the tower was the finish. So the trap named itself. Ava turned west. She and Mara moved low. The grass was sharp, cut ankles. Lights probed the ground like angry eyes. Dogs barked far. At the fence, Clark waited. Bloody lip, wide eyes. I saw them load crates, he whispered. Not training crates. Real weapons. Ava froze. The air tasted of oil again. The hidden hum she felt on day one. It wasn't practice. It was stockpile. Then we're not recruits, Ava said. We're cover. The clipboard men stepped from a truck, shapes lit by a brief match. Cigarette glow. The red light winked, then died. Ava touched her empty wallet, then the knife. Symbols of cost and choice. Empty meant free. Knife meant edge. She faced her team. West Tower, she said. But not to finish. To end this. Behind them, dogs tore leashes. Ahead, the tower light flickered like a dying star, and Ridge's laugh rolled across the yard. Closer now. Crueler. The West Tower looked abandoned. Rust ladders. Shattered pane. But the light at its peak pulsed like a throat. Not random. Signal Ava led Mara and Clark low across gravel. Every crunch sounded like glass. Dogs bayed east. Ridge shouted orders west. A trap closing both jaws. She pressed her broken watch to her ear. Still ticking. Still alive. Move with the beat, she whispered. They stepped on rhythm. Boots and breath braided into silence. The tower base smelled of oil. Doors chained. Padlock scarred with teeth marks of bolt cutters. Not recruits, Clark muttered. Smugglers. Or worse, Ava said. Mara pointed. Above them, the clipboard men. 2 floors up, window glow. Silhouettes moving. Carrying crates, not clipboards now. Ava touched her empty wallet. Nothing to lose. She touched the knife. Cheap edge. But edges don't ask permission. She climbed first. Ladder groaned, a wounded animal. Each rung a question, fall or rise. She rose. Inside, concrete stank of mildew and secrets. Stacks of ammo cases. Black rifles cradled in foam. Not training gear. Inventory. Mara's eyes wide. Clark shook his head. This isn't sanctioned. Footsteps. The men entered carrying more. And Ridge behind them, no longer smiling for camera. Now barking into a radio. Shipment secure. Phase complete. Phase complete. Not training, operation. They weren't recruits at all. They were camouflage. Ava pressed back against cold concrete. Her uncle's words came again. Birds go quiet before people do. The crows had gone silent hours ago. This was the silence of prey before storm, she whispered to Mara. Diversion. To Clark. Proof. He lifted his small pocket camera, shaking. Still enough to capture crates, codes, Ridge's face. Ridge turned suddenly, saw the movement. Eyes met Ava's. Recognition. Hate. He shouted, Up there! Boots thundered the stairwell. Ava grabbed the broken watch from her wrist. She smashed it against the rail. Glass shattered. Ticking died. Symbol broken. Time no longer guide. Only choice. Fight or fall. She tossed the shards down the stairwell. Metal clinks echoed like steps. Boots rushed toward the sound, fooled. One moment of space now, she hissed. They bolted across the floor, dove through a window, hit gravel hard. Clark's camera hugged his chest. Mara pulled him up. Ava already running. Behind them, Ridge roared. Ahead, the fence line loomed. Barbed. Lit. Death if touched wrong. Ava skidded to the ditch. Cold mud stank. Through, she said. They slid in. Bellies to earth. Mud swallowed sound overhead, lights swept but missed. Dogs howled, leashes snapping metal. The tower bell tolled once, broken by wind. They crawled. Hands bleeding. Faces caked. Breath thin. The ditch ended at the culvert. Same tunnel as before. Dark wet, echoing. Their only chance, Mara shook her head. They'll follow. They'll fear the dark, Ava said. She dropped in first. Water chilled bone. Concrete scraped skin. But safety was never warm. Halfway through, a rumble shook dust loose. Boots behind. Voices cursing. Ridge's laugh sliding closer. Ava clenched the knife. One edge between them and the end. She whispered into the tunnel. We finish this tonight. The culvert spat them out into cedar shadow. Air sharp with pine. Sky cracked with thin stars. Free for one breath, then flashlights behind. Dogs louder. Ridge's voice echoing like metal dragged on stone. Ava stood tall now. No more crawling. She faced her team. West fence. We cut through or we cut them off. Clark shook his head. They'll catch us. Then we don't run, Ava said. She showed the cheap knife. Every trap turns if you hold the hinge. She snapped the blade off its plastic grip. Sharp edge bare. She jammed it into the fence seam, twisted, metal whined, tore. Enough for a gap. Mara shoved Clark through first. Ava last. Barbs tore her sleeve. Blood marked her arm. She didn't wince. On the far side, the road stretched dusty again. The same road she came in. Circle closed, but headlights cut across it now. Trucks rolling. Not Academy vehicles. Engines heavy. Windows black. Ridge appeared behind the fence. His grin white, wolfish. You think escape means win? He raised his radio. Tower, shut the road. Engines roared forward. No way back. No way through. Only ditch. Only dark. Ava looked at her empty wallet. Nothing inside. Nothing to steal. She dropped it in the dirt. Weight gone. Pass gone. She gripped Clark's camera. The proof. The weight that mattered. Mara, she said. Flank the ditch. Clark, keep recording. I'll draw them. Ridge's eyes narrowed. You're not SEAL, you're not soldier. You're nothing. Ava smiled once. Nothing moves faster than nothing. She sprinted straight into the headlights. Truck swerved. Dust exploded. She dropped. Rolled under the nearest chassis, knife edge sparking against steel. She slashed fuel line. Gasoline sprayed hot and sharp. Engines coughed. One truck veered, crashed the fence, burst flame. Dogs yelped, handlers shouting. Chaos bloomed. Mara pulled Clark into the cedar. Camera light red, blinking steady. Recording everything. Ava crawled from under wreckage. Face blackened, arms raw. She saw Ridge standing alone now, fury wild. His radio dead, trucks burning.